Hey guys, this is Ender from Altius, here with a quick video covering some of the mechanics of the Haste spell. So I've noticed in a handful of our wars that a lot of the time people aren't using the Haste spell to its full advantage. So if we look at the Haste spell comparing it to the Rage spells have the benefit of having increased damage and also the increase of speed. Haste spells only have the speed increase though. So if you're going to be using a Haste spell, you should try and get the most out of it that we possibly can. Now if we go into one of the multiplayers, we'll take a look at what I've seen a lot of people doing and then how I think it should be done. So what we tend to see is that people, if they're dropping a balloon somewhere in the northwest here and trying to target those mortars, I've noticed a lot of the time people either place a Haste spell either way before the mortar, kind of like that, where by the time the balloon gets on top of the mortar, it's out of the Haste spell. I've also noticed people placing it so that it's directly on top of the mortar, a little more like that. And I think the reason why they do that is they kind of treat it the same way a Rage does, and they're trying to get it so that the balloons can go faster getting to the mortar and also getting to the archer tower. But really, Haste spells have a latency period kind of built into them. So if we drop one Haste spell out here, just way out from everything, and we drop a balloon behind it, you'll see the balloon is going faster through the Haste spell, but it's also going faster after the Haste spell for at least a few tiles, because the balloon didn't slow down once it got out of there. So the way that I think you should be dropping your Haste spell is so that it's leading the balloons into the mortar as much as we can, but so that it's overlapping with the mortar just enough so that when it's trying to leave and go from the mortar to that next archer tower, it's still getting that initial burst of speed from the Haste. So you'd be dropping it a little bit closer to like that. That way, the balloon is going as fast as it can to the mortar, and then while it's on top of the mortar and about to travel to the archer tower, it's going to still get an increase of speed because it lasts for at least 3 to 4 tiles longer. So if we take a look, I'm going to drop on the further west mortar. I'm going to drop it directly on top of it, the way that I've seen a lot of people doing, and the way that you would kind of drop a Rage spell. And I'm going to drop it the way that I think it should be done on that upper mortar, so that it's just barely overlapping, and so that it gets the increase in speed. And then I'll drop balloons basically where that tree line is, that way we can kind of get a decent control between the two, and you can see how much faster it gets all the way from the mortar to the archer tower between the two Haste spells. So let's do one right on top, and then one leading about there, and then we'll do 2 balloons on each, and we'll see just how much faster it gets there. So if you see, they get to the mortar first, and then they're also getting to the archer tower well before as well. So now, if we pull out of this, we'll do it one more time, and I'm going to do it while it's leading the balloons a little bit further than it was before. So if we go back to that, we'll do the same one. This time we're going to drop the Haste spell further away from the mortar so that it leads into the mortar quickly, but it doesn't show that same speed boost going to the archer tower. So if we drop it right out here, and we drop 2 balloons so that it gets there nice and quickly, gets to the mortar, they pause just long enough so that they no longer get that speed increase as they're coming out of it. About a second or two of time where it's going to have an increase of speed as it leaves it. Since balloons take so long to drop, when they get there, they've already dropped them, but it's taken enough time that the Haste is worn off for them. So I would suggest when you're doing it, try and plan it so that you're getting it to overlap. That way, instead of right before the mortar and then between the mortar and the archer tower, you're doing it in one drop. That way you can use that extra spell space somewhere else.